Leo.
Hey guys, it's Leo, also known as LeoCastell4, obviously, and today I am with my good friend Kevin.
Yeah, hey
So,
guys, what's up? Kevin, also known as xGrunty on YouTube. How you guys doing? Um,
so
this,
yeah, today we're gonna be talking about like we were discussing at work, like how Square Enix can improve the Final Fantasy series since it seems to be going on this sort of downward spiral. I think Kevin could talk more about that.
yeah, you know, I wasn't the biggest fan of 13. In fact, I pretty much hated it. It was probably the worst fucking game I've ever played. But aside from that, I'm not gonna be too hypercritical on it because I know some people liked it, and I know in Japan it did really well. There's a lot of praise in Japan, but in my opinion, it's just a big turn off from the originals and everything like that. So, um, but yeah, we just got our newest Game Informer article in, and 13.2 got an 8 out of 10. And I'm not the one. We don't really believe in scores, but I mean, it's kind of weird to see even the reviewer.
He didn't seem very enthusiastic about
He
it.
didn't.
Like,
I mean, he all he did was, I mean, the first three paragraphs he talked pretty bad about how much it was pretty absurd storyline, and I mean, I don't know how many of you guys played it, but it's a pretty ridiculous storyline. I mean, you have to read pages and pages of dialogue just to understand anything at all, and then it still doesn't make any sense. So,
and I remember reading a quote from the developer on like some of the negative feedback Final Fantasy 13 had been getting, saying that like how some of the negative feedback pertained to how it's linear compared to all the other Final Fantasy games, and he was saying it's hard to tell a story like this kind of story we were trying to tell like in an open world environment, so we needed this linearity to tell a story, which I think would have been an acceptable like counter argument had the story actually been like good.
good, yeah,
So
right, and it's just can't really use that as an excuse, in my opinion. I don't know, and I mean, not just the story too. The characters are played by, and it had a good soundtrack, and yeah, the combat system was cool, but I mean, the combat system was cool maybe like 40 hours into the game. About the first 20 hours, you're sitting there through tutorial, so it's not very pleasing. I mean, the general populace, I know a bunch of people who didn't even finish the game, so and
yeah.
they're huge JRPG fans, so and
Yeah, like the first 10 hours of the game almost feels like an interactive movie. Like
hmm
it's so automatic.
You just run forward, you hit X, and you hit auto battle, and you get 5 stars on these scores on these battles. And
I
why
remember
why
so
the battles even have ratings in the first place?
yeah, like
Beyond me, but whatever. So,
but
but
yeah, I mean the game, I mean, it had a lot of hype going behind it too with like
oh yeah,
um
I was super excited. I remember listening to the battle system music all or the battle music all the time on YouTube before the game was out. So, and
yeah, and it looked beautiful too. Like it's still one of the prettiest games on consoles. Like I think it's one of the only games 1080p native. I might be wrong about that, but
I think we
yeah.
talked about that before. So, it's not like, oh, I hate the game completely, but regardless, in my opinion, I mean, even the Final Fantasy games are still not one of the staples of JRPGs anyway. I mean, you still had like the Chrono Triggers and Chrono Cross and things like that. The Shin Megami Tensei games, and I think that's the main reason we brought this up is we were thinking, man, it would be awesome if it could still be published by Square Enix and all that, but if they did a collab with Square Enix and maybe Atlas
Or
or
BioWare
BioWare or even
or Eidos.
Resta, yeah, because yeah, I mean they've already done that with Deus Ex, so
Yeah, they published Deus Ex Human Revolution, so it's not like Eidos Montreal, I think is who developed Deus Ex. I'm not sure. I might be wrong on that, but yeah, they already worked together, so it's not like totally implausible.
yeah, definitely not. And it's not that Square Enix doesn't make good games anymore. I mean, I know the Dragon Quest games still get a lot of praise. I don't really play them that much. I haven't really played a Dragon Quest since Dragon Quest 8 on PS2, but um, I know a bunch of my friends who are really into JRPGs. They like Dragon Quest a lot, a lot.
Yeah, like my favorite Final Fantasy game from like last year, which is also like my favorite Final Fantasy game since like 9, was actually Four Heroes of Light, which was released on the DS. And I thought that was an excellent game. I thought if like Square Enix was gonna like deliver a sort of classic but streamlined RPG to the masses, that's the way they should deliver it.
Yeah, I know you talked about it in your DS collection video, which you guys should definitely check out on his channel at some point. But I didn't. I hadn't played it, but I watched a friend play most of it, or some of it, and it looked fun. It looked fun. So.
Yep. Back on 13 though, like I mean, it might sound like weird or almost blasphemous to say like not just like for Square Enix to do a collaboration on like a main series Final Fantasy game, but to do a collaboration with like a Western developer like BioWare, like Eidos. But I mean, like if you think of it another way, it's always good to get like a fresh new perspective on a project.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I mean,
Especially with the Western RPGs. Let's face it, guys. Western RPGs have been killing it these days. The Elder Scrolls games, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, you know,
Skyrim's basically been
Skyrim.
lighting the
Yeah,
world on fire.
exactly. They get so much praise. I can't see why not. Even Kojima talks about how Japanese gaming is kind of falling apart. What KG Unifunes left Capcom. There's just a lot of stuff going on with Japanese gaming, and with the downgrades in Final Fantasy, and you know, it's just they need to do something. That's what we just think. Yeah.
What I can respect for Square Enix though with Final Fantasy 13 is that a lot of other Japanese RPGs that seem to be released these days, like they seem to sort of just wallow in the old formula. Like maybe like not try to push the envelope much, just like do what's been proven to work, which is fine. I can respect that and I enjoy that.
Yeah, at
But
least what
like Final
Xenoblade
Fantasy,
Chronicles, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
they stick to the staple, and obviously it works because that's been praised, and thankfully we're coming. That's coming here, so we're excited about that. But, you know,
yeah, but like Final Fantasy 13, it like I can respect it for trying something different. It's just a shame that the different thing it tried happened to be pretty terrible.
yeah, it didn't really work out too well. Exactly. It's not wrong to try something new. It's always good to be original, but you have to do it right. And I think if they had, I think that's what we think. If they had more ideas from other developers who do try to break those walls, it would definitely, maybe, most likely benefit them in the end.
Yeah, like I'm not saying like I don't think like if BioWare were to like collaborate with Square Enix on like I don't know Final Fantasy 15 or like I don't know something retarded like Final Fantasy 13 3, uh God forbid Square Enix ever make a game with that title. That's just
That's
they
just.
they automatically win the most pretentious titling company award. But like BioWare like they're really good story writers. Like they deliver fantastic narratives that like really just like flow seamlessly with the actual gameplay. Like I can't see BioWare like RPG style gameplay going into Final Fantasy. I think Square Enix really had something going with the battle system. They just have to, not make it as dumbed down in the beginning as it was. But like let BioWare sort of like maybe take the story in a different direction like because it seems like it's really cliche. It's really they just fall into the like standard Japanese RPG like anime tropes. I mean, what
Yeah.
kind of a name is Hope? Like
Right. Yeah. Lightning, Fang. Vanille. What is
Snow.
that? Like a derivative of vanilla? What is that? Like
Yeah.
snow? Yeah. You just can't. The anime repertoire of names is just, come on, man.
Granted, I think all those names are better than Butts from Final Fantasy. I want to say that was 5. Like Butts.
One of my least favorites, but I,
But yeah,
I
like
think I think I talked about that already. It's not like it's one of the best series out there anyway. But I think I was saying earlier today at work that you know uh, I think one of my favorite Final Fantasies is Tactics. War of the Lions is awesome. It's amazing, and Devil Survivor has that same Tactics feel, except it's got the summons with the demons and everything. If you can imagine a Final Fantasy graphics or something like that, maybe like Final Fantasy 13 graphics with a Devil Survivor gameplay style, and maybe a collaboration on both the styles of the storytelling. That would. I don't know about you guys, but that'd be awesome to me.
yeah, actually that reminded me of a game, Resonance of Fate kind of plays a sort of like almost like an action strategy turn-based RPG thing if that makes any sense cuz it's like it's grid based in a way like I haven't played it but I've seen like, footage and reviews of it and like the combat it's really something that like it's not something you're going to get immediately like it's going to take hours to like really get a hold of it but it's really It sounds kind of like what you were just talking about, like this kind of like quasi
Yeah,
like
it just
turn-based
I
strategy.
mean, I'm sure, leave it to the developers because I don't really know how to develop anything, but I'm sure they could come up with something that would work, you
Yeah, we're
know?
not professionals, guys. We're just
We're
rambling.
throwing ideas out there. It's just, I don't know, man. It's upsetting to see some of the best series from my childhood and things like that going down the drain and all these Western RPGs. Not to say that I didn't play any Western RPGs when I was younger, but it's breaking that point. I don't know.
Yeah, like one of my favorite channels on YouTube, his name's Dustin Crease. You guys should check out his channel. He mentioned in I forgot which video it was, but it was something, I think it was like a game discussion on Final Fantasy, but he mentioned how Final Fantasy stopped being Final Fantasy after 9. And from there it's sort of like he didn't exactly say this, but from there I agree with him. It did stop feeling like a Final Fantasy game. It felt more like 10 and onwards was less Final Fantasy, more like Final Sci-Fi. But
Yeah, I mean that's actually the time when I don't remember his name. He now works for Mistwalker, who did Lost Odyssey and Last Story on the Wii, which I really hope we get at some point, but we're probably not going to. So, but I forget his name, but he worked through Final Fantasy 1 through 9, and he was one of the main guys on them. And I mean, he left after 9, so I mean, it's probably most likely what happened to the series. I mean, not to say that 10 wasn't enjoyable. I enjoyed 10, but
yeah, and
yeah,
I know
it's
some
not.
people also really like 12 too.
Yeah, I mean, 12 is just,
But 13 seemed to be the first Final Fantasy to like really get like this sort of unanimous like underwhelmment amongst people. 'Cause like if you go like on game rankings right now, like 12 is more than 90%, 10 is more than like 90%, 9 is more than 90%, 8 is like right on the 90% mark. It's like 89 points something. And 7 is more than 90%. And then you see like 13 and it's like 80 like 2, 83. So it's just like what happened?
and it's not just even the quality of the games. I think the quality of the company has really fallen. I mean, a lot of people forget Versus 13 was actually announced at the exact same time that Final Fantasy 13 was announced, and now we are on the sequel to one of them. And you've only got about 2 trailers and maybe some text about some of the storyline for the other game, and that's it. That's all you've got
Wait,
on it.
we have 2 trailers. I've only seen like 2 pictures of it in like a Game Informer
Well,
magazine from
I mean,
2 years ago.
there's like the CGI trailer, and then there's a gameplay trailer out for it. But I mean, who knows if that gameplay trailer is even going to lead up to what it's supposed to be? I mean, I'm
That's
pretty sure I remember seeing an article that 13 was actually developed originally on PS2. So,
yeah, well, like the whole like seeing the pre-rendered trailers for like a game, I don't think that speaks well for the game itself. Because I mean, like a pre-rendered trailer can usually does look really cool, but like what
yeah.
matters is like a gameplay trailer or even better a game demo. I mean, like on another tangent, Dead Island had a pretty great like first trailer with the like
Oh
backward
yeah, everybody
kid
was going crazy with
flying out of the window, and then the game comes out and it was kind of like
that.
meh. Yeah, like
Pretty much. Yeah,
so.
it's just it's upsetting, man. I mean, I'm not very excited about anything that they plan on releasing anymore. It's when you sit there and shaft your fans that much, it's kind of you get to the point where you're just like, okay, there's no point. I mean, I think we were talking about earlier about Capcom and other companies like that, man. They just like
EA.
EA and Activision. It's just, you know, come on, man. I mean, we
It
paid.
hurts. It hurts to see franchises you love like make the wrong decisions or like even like I don't want to say sell out, but like disappoint you, I guess.
Right.
I mean, I don't think I'll ever really be all that excited for a Final Fantasy game like ever again. I was never really that big of a fan of the series anyway, but like I played all the games. I made a point of playing like the main series games and like I enjoyed them mostly, except for 2. I hate 2. I still think as much as I don't think 13 is that great of a game, I will always recommend it more than Final Fantasy 2. Not like the American Final Fantasy 2, which was really poor. That was a good game. I mean the Japanese Final Fantasy 2. That game sucked. Fuck that game. But
Wait, who's the main character in that one?
I don't know, some asshole. But
Is that Onion Knight? No, I think that's 3.
no, no, that's 3. 3 is
Yeah.
Onion. 2 is like some like big retard
I
guy
don't remember,
whose
man.
name is literally Guy. Like his name is
Guy.
Guy. Like
Like
there's
one
this
was like Warrior of Light. Like he didn't even have a name. He was the Warrior of Light. So
then there was this other guy. Like you get to make your party and like I don't know. I don't feel like talking about it because I think I was about to say is gonna like spoil something. Not that you should play the game, but
right.
yeah, I don't know. Somebody out there probably really enjoys too. So I should probably shut up before
Yeah.
we
Just
get we
play
get
six,
blamed.
guys. That's all you need to play. That's the only good one.
Play 6 and 9.
And nine.
Am I the
And
one that
nine's
thinks it's
good.
coincidence that like the two best Final Fantasy games are basically the same number, like flipped upside down?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's always arguable. Everybody seems to ride sevens cock like crazy, but whatever.
Actually, I'm noticing now that like people seem to like sort of agree that sevens kind of aged not that like pretty badly.
Yeah, I mean,
Like
even six, just I don't know. Six is I'd rather just look at six than I would rather look at seven, especially all the blocky arms. Like, what is that,
yeah,
man?
they look like they have like tumors in like every part of their body. But like I don't think that's actually a problem with 7. I think that's just a problem with like those that 90s 3D polygon graphics in general because a lot of those like graphics just look so horribly unnatural. I mean,
Yeah.
they blow you away in the 90s because you never see anything like that, but like now you're just like the fuck? Like I mean like Ocarina of Time on the N64 and Super Mario 64 look a little bit better because I guess it's more like open-ended and have had like Nintendo's chops behind it. But Final Fantasy 13, 7 like had like it like fluctuated between 3 different graphical styles. It was like the normal like overworld style where everybody looked like they had tumors. There was like the battle system style which was like more anime-esque, and then there was like the like cutscene style.
Right.
So it was like a identity crisis.
What's even worse is the not even Final Fantasy series, man. Let's talk about Kingdom Hearts. It's like, man, we're gonna make you buy every system and every console just so you have every game in the series. It's like,
Like
come on,
they're they're the Kingdom
that's
Hearts games are okay from what I've played, but like
no, they're not
the
that good.
fans.
The fans
Yeah,
are
yeah,
terrible, man.
yeah. The fan base. If you're the kind of person that lets a fan base kind of ruin a game for you, then yeah, the Kingdom Hearts fan base will probably ruin the Kingdom Hearts games for you. But like, God, I don't know how much more those fans can put up with because I mean, like, it's been like Kingdom Hearts 1, then Kingdom Hearts 2, then Kingdom Hearts 2.1, then Kingdom Hearts 2.2, then Kingdom Hearts 2.3. Like, what kind of a name is 358 over 2 days? I ask you.
And
That
then
could be
we did the math today. We were like, that's 179. Why didn't they just call it 179 days? Like,
it's
when
Square Enix, the same people that named like
they
one
couldn't they
game.
couldn't call it Kingdom Hearts 179 because then it'd be more. What did you say it was? It'd be more crazy.
It outclassed like Final Fantasy in terms of how big the numbers got.
They
But like,
can't do that.
and then they have other games like Infinite Undiscovery, where you're
Oh man.
infinitely undiscovering something, whatever the fuck that means. Like, God. And more recently the Dissidia game, Dissidia Duodecim. How do you go from Dissidia Final Fantasy to Dissidia Duodecim? Would have been so bad to say Dissidia 2. Is that too mainstream or something? Like, eh.
Yeah.
I feel like we're getting off topic from 13.
Well, I mean, I was still just mentioning the company. I mean, it's not even about. I mean, it is about the game and how we think that they could do changes, but it's mostly about how I feel about the company as a whole too. I
I
don't know.
actually, I think the two best games that Square Enix has published or like made in like the last 2 years were the Four Heroes of Light on the DS and the Tactics Ogre Let Us Cling Together on the PSP.
Yeah, that's a
I
good one.
played yeah, I played that for about 3 hours and I got pretty into it. It made me want to buy it. And it was definitely like it's a love letter to turn-based strategy fans.
Hmm.
Like I think like on the like niche handheld market, Square Enix definitely like knows how to please people because like I mean their DS games are still really good and their whatever they release on the PSP is usually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, all the Dragon Quest games get a lot of praise. Like I said, I don't really play them anymore, mostly just because I don't have time to play all these games anymore. But I do they get a lot of praise, and I'm sure they are really good.
Yeah, for what it's worth, like they seem to be publishing good games. Granted, like publishing, you have really nothing to do with developing the game, but I mean they published Deus Ex: Human Revolution recently, and that was an awesome game. I really
It was
enjoyed
good.
Deus
This is
Ex.
good.
And they also published Batman: Arkham Asylum, at least the PS3 version,
Hmm.
that way back in 2009.
Which
So
is amazing.
yeah, Arkham Asylum. I don't think we really need to
We don't
delve
need
into
to
that.
talk about Arkham Asylum or Arkham City.
Is
It's just you need to play those games, guys. All right.
is Batman in it? What else? What else do you need? Like,
It's like the Dark Knight of video games. Come on, literally.
But like, as far as like, I don't know, like, I feel like the like if Atlas collaborated with Square Enix, then like I know some people might like have trouble shaking the idea of like making like a Final Fantasy game that takes place in high school, where like half the game spent dungeon crawling and the other half is like you're trapped in a dating sim,
Dating sim, yeah,
which would
but
basically be
it's
Shin Megami Tensei disguised as Final Fantasy. But
but it works, man. I mean, the Persona games are awesome.
yeah, but like there's also that thing about Final Fantasy like finding its identity, and I think like if Atlas were to do it, like they could sort of just like instead of setting it in a high school or something, like I don't know, like go back to that like sort of steampunk Final Fantasy like era, and then like
Yeah,
just like make the gameplay like the combat one thing, and then make like the social aspect like another thing, and really flesh it out. Because like Square Enix is a much bigger company than Atlas, so like Atlas, you can kind of tell their games have a budget, but Square Enix, like considering how much money they blow on just a single trailer for a game, like they could definitely make this super like crazy like whore of a game that like just like craps money. So yeah.
yeah. Uh, I mean, I think Leo has mentioned it in his DS collection, but recently Atlas put out a game called Radiant Historia, which I finished last year, and it was my favorite JRPG of the year. It's amazing, guys. I mean, it's literally the Chrono Trigger. It's Atlas's Chrono Trigger. Just like he said, I mean, it's like up there, man. I mean, it's an amazing game. It's got an amazing soundtrack, and I mean the gameplay is on point. It's got a unique combat system too. So it's not like, oh, it's not original or anything like that. Um, but I mean it's good, man. Y'all have to play that one. And I mean if you could just see like that kind of style of, or just that quality into the, pushing everything into that one game, only on the DS, into a high quality PS3 or 360 game with Final Fantasy 13 2 graphics, I think, we just, what the hell, man? Why not?
Yeah, and like just to further sell the like point of it being Atlas's Chrono Trigger home, it's even gotten like that kind of like Chrono Trigger rare, because like I think every GameStop maybe got like one, maybe two copies if they were lucky, and now on eBay like a complete copy goes for like upwards of $60, and if you have it like still wrapped, then it's like upwards of $100. So it even has the whole rare thing that Chrono
Yeah,
Trigger has going on.
already,
Yeah,
that was released last year. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, it's a good one though. I haven't even like finished collecting everything and getting all the endings. There's actually multiple endings, just like Chrono Trigger 2. So it's good, man. It's really
I
good.
can I can see people enjoying it more than Chrono Trigger because
Oh
it has
yeah,
like like I said, like I haven't beaten Radiant Historia, so I could be off about this, but it came across more to me as like a political drama. And correct me if I'm wrong on that, because I know you're deeper in the game
yeah,
than
it's
I.
good. It's good. No, you're right on pretty much.
Yeah,
Um,
and
there's
Chrono
a
Trigger.
there's a war going on between two cities, and you're kind of like put in the middle of it, and then there was kind of in the background it's like, oh, you got to save the world too, so yeah, you're right though.
Yeah, and Chrono Trigger's like this like coming of age hero's journey. So I mean, like I think Chrono Trigger would have definitely appealed to like a more like young-minded person, like maybe like between the ages of like I don't know like 9 and like a teenager or whatever, since like you always enjoy like the coming of age hero's journey stories around that age. But like for those of us that like grew up with these RPGs when we were younger, and now we're like in our like 20s or whatever,
Hmm.
then like this kind of like sophistication coming out of like a game style we still love, like I can definitely see it resonating with people in ways that Chrono Trigger didn't.
Yeah. um I mean, yeah, it's just it fits really well. I wanted to talk about something else too. I know how we were talking to how they can collaborate with other companies, but even Square Enix already broke walls with their combat systems and things like that. I mean, have you played any of the Star Ocean games, Leo? Like any of the older ones even?
No, actually, I've heard good things about them, but I don't think I've heard enough good things to really make me want to like buckle down and track down a copy.
Yeah, well, I mean, Second Story which I think it was remade on the PSP too. So you could get first and second. I think it's first Departure and then second story. But second story is really really good, and it's more action, action based as far as the combat system goes. So they know how to break that wall on certain aspects of their game. It's just when they went to 13, they went on a real big tangent. Not being able to control all your party members is just, you know, kind of ruins the whole experience. No shops, no towns. And then I was even reading that apparently in 13 too, instead of having like you get to the new save point and new shops open up, now it's one person and she's a shop, and like as you progress the game she just unlocks more things, so they didn't fix anything on that end. And I know a lot of people are upset about that. It's like that was one of the things. It's like as you play a JRPG you progress into these new towns and you unlock new shops and you get to talk to new people, things like that. It's that sense of progression that you accomplished the task before that. So
Yeah, it actually reminded me of like Square Enix seems to be like really really black and white with like tradition. Like some of their games seem to be like so attached to the old ways that they could pretty much like fit in with NES Final Fantasy games. Whereas other games like defy tradition so hard that you're wondering why they
what,
even bear the
what?
same name. Like
Yeah,
like The World Ends With You, like I
that
mean
was a
that's
good
that
one.
was that was a good game, but like I'm
Yeah,
just saying like that like I did not see that coming. Like
yeah, that was really interesting. I remember the first time I checked it out at work, and I like started playing it, and I was like really confused. I was like, well, okay, this is like totally different. Like,
yeah, I mean, the game's kind of pretentious, and like I'm not a big fan of the whole fashion-driven like armor ratings and whatnot. But I mean, like, it'd be really ignorant of me to say that it isn't like a good game
yeah, it's
because it
good.
was a good game.
Hmm.
And then like Kevin actually the other day bought a game Nier, which
Yeah.
basically the way I've seen it, it seems like the most experimental title Square Enix has released in like maybe ever. But I mean, like it's gotten pretty.
Pretty bad critically, pretty bad scores, but I mean, I know you were saying a lot of people were saying it's like one of their favorite games ever, or in recent times. So
Yeah, classic game room, I believe, for his best games of 2010, named it one of his like it was in the top 10, and he actually mentions like everybody in the press hated this game except for me. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. That's exactly what he said. Like,
yeah, so I'm actually going to be doing a let's play on that at some point once I get all my recording materials up and ready. So be looking out for that, and I'll let
yeah,
y'all know how I feel about it at the end.
yeah, and the game is really like I haven't played it, but it is like really freaking weird from what I've gathered. Because I mean, like there are bits where it's like standard like sort of action RPG fare, but then like there are bits where it turns into like top down like classic Zelda style where you're like solving puzzles and moving from room to room.
Mm.
Then there's like bits where it turns into like a 2D platformer, and then there it's like. And then like the whole magic, like when enemies like attack you with magic, like it's like a bullet hell shooter of all things. And like you would think that's really hard to like navigate and dodge, but like you can render like all magical projectiles like completely harmless by like just blocking. So it's definitely, and like this isn't like some like quirky like 8-bit or like 16-bit modern game either. This is like rendered in like 720p fully
Hmm.
polygonal like graphics. So
Yeah.
it's not to mention that one of the main characters is the girl. I don't know what her name is a hermaphrodite. So spoiler alert, Kevin, if you didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't, but whatever.
They dropped that pretty early on. So like
um,
doesn't help that she also wears like in true Japanese RPG tradition, you have that one female character that is basically like just like sex appeal.
oh yeah.
Although it's weird sex appeal since it's hermaphrodite, but she's basically wearing like lingerie. Like
Of course, right out of
so
Victoria's Secret. Yeah.
so yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a secret at this point, but
um, yeah, I think along with the on the collab part, we were talking about From Software too, the Dark Souls and Demon Souls guys.
no,
there, or was that
it was
something?
From Software. We were also gonna talk about like not that we think there's anything wrong with it, but the Legend of Zelda
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
how
Yeah, yeah, we were gonna go
like
into that.
since I already mentioned it, we might as well just talk about that. But yeah, like I don't think there's anything wrong with the Zelda series. I think like some people have said like, oh, like it'll never be better than Ocarina of Time or Link to the Past. I think pretty much every console Zelda game since A Link to the Past, with the exception of Four Swords Adventures, has been one of the greatest games ever made. And Skyward Sword like continues that tradition.
Yeah, and I think
But
me and Leo are in the minority when we say that Majora's Mask was better than Ocarina of Time, but
oh
whatever.
yeah, Majora's Mask is like one of, if not maybe my favorite video game story like ever.
Ever. Yeah,
It's
it's
just
really good.
so interesting and different and creepy. But
Yeah,
like
I like the dark aspect of it, and but like don't get me wrong, Link to the Past is like the shit, but we'll but I don't know, it's hard, it's a toss up for me, so I don't really like to talk about favorite Zelda game, but
yeah, but
I haven't played Skyward Sword yet, guys, by the way, so I'm working on it.
yeah, I beat it. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, Kevin, or anybody that happens to be listening to this. But like the combat in Skyward Sword is really engaging. It's not 1-to-1 like how some people have touted it, but then again, no motion control game that I've ever played is 1-to-1, and it doesn't need to be 1-to-1. It's still fun. But like I was thinking of ways like Nintendo, like I love their games. I think they're like the top of the top tier developers. Like when they make a classic, they really knock it out of the park. But
Yeah.
like with it seems like a lot of times Nintendo grips way too strongly to tradition for better or for worse. Like I mean sometimes it's awesome when they like really hold on to the old ways and don't let them get bogged down by some modern ideas. But on other ways, like you really wish Nintendo would modernize. Like you really wish the Wii could do HD, didn't have the stupid friend code thing, and like had an external hard drive or something.
But
And
then,
like
most of the time I just think, oh, that's Nintendo, man. They've always been like that. It's always like they don't have the best graphics or anything like that, but they hit those originals like really good, man.
yeah, like they know how to develop for their hardware, but
Right, right.
like even then, like there were things in Skyward Sword and like Twilight Princess that like I understand why they're there and I respect why they're there and I enjoy that they're there. But like I think Zelda could also really like enjoy and benefit from some new perspective. Like Kevin said, I mentioned From Software, like the people who made Demon Souls and Dark Souls, which are fantastic. Go play them if you're not a
Hmm.
pussy. But like I mean the combat style in those games is pretty is I think it's inspired by Zelda because it's like
Zelda,
Bloodborne.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Only it's more fleshed out, and I think like a combat if like Nintendo collaborated with like From Software, since they're actually a competent company, a lot like Team Ninja, who ruined freaking Other M. I mean, let them deal with Ninja Gaiden, but
Yeah.
not Metroid.
I never played Other M, but I read a lot of, some people said it's good. A lot of people said it was terrible because of what they did to Samus. So, you know, I don't
Yeah,
know.
but I always imagine like I was just like I really started falling in love with the idea of like a Zelda game where like you really had this like more control over Link than you ever could. Like you can make it to where I don't know, like the shield, like you could not only block but parry and then like do this like
Hmm.
critical stab thing, or like you can like two hand like whatever sword you're using, and like it would have benefits. Like your block would be weakened, but like your like forwards like slash attack or whatever would be a lot stronger. And like I think the addition of like the sprint in Skyward Sword is like fantastic. And frankly, I'm surprised it wasn't in Zelda before. But yeah,
I didn't even
like
know that. I didn't even know they had a sprint in it. That's pretty
and
neat. I'm excited now.
and like the whole like open world aspect with like just all this like stuff, and like really like what Skyward Sword really nailed down is like the combat was so engaging. And I think the only way it could possibly get more engaging is if it took like a page from Dark Souls and Demon Souls and just ran with it. And like it's not entirely implausible either, because these guys also made 3D Dot Game Heroes, which in case you didn't know is like
It's Zelda.
yeah, like
It's Link to the Past. I mean, that's what it is.
yeah, so like I mean I think if Nintendo just approached From Software and was like, hey, we want you to collaborate with us on the next Zelda game, then From Software would be like, sure, like
Why not?
and
Yeah,
then like
yeah. From
Nintendo can
3D Dot Game Heroes, man. That's funny. Yeah. My character is like a robot. I'm like a robot, saving the world, saving the princess. No, anyway, sorry.
yeah,
I
my,
just,
my character was a turtle, but I'm sure many people just made a penis or something
or
because
like
you
a
give
pixel. You could just be like one pixel,
yeah
one
I feel
pixel to save the world.
yeah a wise man once said if you give people level editors, 90% of those people will just make penis shaped things.
Yeah, I
So
see. I remember seeing a lot of those on when the game came out on the internet, on the interwebs.
it's like, look, I just saved the world as a penis, but yeah, I feel like I'm getting off topic.
Yeah,
But
sorry.
yeah, like the 3D dot game heroes, like I mean, you could just sort of let From Software like handle like the combat aspect, like really flesh it out. Because I always felt like Zelda, like Skyward Sword, really made me feel like Zelda still has this untapped potential that could really like propel it in new directions.
Wait,
And
didn't you
like,
say Zelda? Was it Zelda? I don't, maybe it was Sean. Another guy who works with Sean, but I think he was saying that Zelda is actually like the developers for Zelda games are the only developers that actually go through and like think about combat and like develop the levels and things like that before they actually write a script.
yeah,
Whereas
that was probably Sean that said that.
yeah, whereas most developers usually have like some kind of story outlined and everything before they go into developing the game. So, I mean, maybe that's what's hindering it in this area that we're talking about.
Yeah, like Nintendo could sort of like supervise like um From Software as they like develop this whole gameplay and combat aspect while Nintendo sort of like does what they do best. 'Cause I think as far as the puzzles go in Zelda games, they're phenomenal. Skyward Sword has like the best puzzles of any Zelda game I've ever played. Like it's always giving you something to do. And like the visual style, Nintendo seems to know how to get the most bang for their buck out of their hardware.
Yeah.
So, and like the story, I mean, I mean, I don't care about voice acting. I mean, if they want to do voice acting, then I'm not gonna jump for joy, but I'm not gonna be totally slump bummed out. But like, I think like
I mean, it'll
Skyward
it'll
Sword and
probably
Majora's
hit
Mask,
that point. It'll probably
yes,
hit there at some point.
yeah, sooner or later, like Majora's Mask, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword all had pretty great stories, like pretty above, like not like timeless like Grapes of Wrath, like Shakespeare esque acclaim, but like because these Zelda games like hit so close to home with a lot of people and people like enjoy them so much, like these stories really resonate with a lot of people. Like there are few games that like invoke the kind of like emotional investment that Zelda invokes. I mean, I remember reading articles about it when Twilight Princess was first shown at E3 like 2005. Like people were crying.
Yeah,
I
they
was
were
just like,
like. I
yeah.
think I
I was,
remember seeing those. Yeah,
I was just
seeing
like,
those clips.
wow. But yeah, like Nintendo could just, do what they did best with that. And like another game that came out like I think the same year as Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess Okami. I mean, it's clear that these like other developers that like take inspiration from Zelda and like give their own take on it can really introduce like a really fresh perspective on it and make like a really excellent game. Okami's proof of that.
Yeah,
Like
Okami's really good. Darksiders wasn't like amazing or anything, but it has a lot of Zelda feel to it as far as the dungeon crawling goes and everything, the puzzle solving. Um,
I actually heard Darksiders, like I just heard this, but I heard there's like a thing in that game where you get like a gun that shoots like blue and orange portals at some point.
really, I don't remember. I never finished Darksiders, so I don't know. I checked it out and I played it for like a day, and then I never touched it again.
I
But
heard that
it
on
was fun for like the few hours I played.
yeah, I heard it on Yahtzee's review on Zero Punctuation. Like he was just like commented that the game seems to rip off like five random popular games. So like Zelda, Portal, like and God of War and some other game. So I
Yeah,
was just like I could sort of see the Zelda and the God of War, but where how'd they fit in like a Portal
Portal
gun?
guns. Yeah,
Like
that's weird. I guess I'll have to see. Uh, you know.
but yeah, like um another company I was like shooting the idea around to like collaborate with Nintendo. Nintendo's actually said that like this, like they've actually gone on record for this recently, saying that this isn't entirely like impossible, but that they could collaborate with Retro Studios, who, for those of you that don't know, they made the Metroid Prime games,
Hmm.
which were fantastic. Metroid
Really
Prime,
good games. Yep.
yeah, like yeah, and they also make Donkey Kong Country Returns, and they collaborated on Mario Kart 7. They did the artwork and the track design, which is probably the best part of Mario Kart 7. So like Retro is just a fantastic developer, and also I was reading an article on IGN, it was saying that developers from Visceral Studios, Naughty Dog, I think Insomniac, and some other studio I can't think of, all like left and started working with retro. So you're getting people that worked on Dead Space, that worked on Uncharted, that worked on like Resistance and Ratchet and Clank, and
Mm.
like all these other like great like action games, like working with retro, which is like which is basically like Nintendo's like port in like the States. Like it's a Texas-based studio, so it's basically like their new Rare, since Rare isn't exactly what it used to be. So yeah.
When did you hear about that? Because I don't wanna.
I saw it on IGN article,
Huh.
like I think it was
I wonder
yesterday.
if it has something to do with the Wii U, something like
It was
that.
something talking about it was like the future of Zelda.
Huh.
It was like what they were predicting the future of Zelda to be, and that like that got me excited. Like I would be all over
They had
like
that spider demo was supposedly playable at CES recently, with the Zelda spider demo on the Wii U.
it was actually playable because I knew at
Yeah.
E3 it was just like a scripted thing. You could just
Yeah, and like this one
animate.
was playable apparently. So I didn't watch the video or anything. I was looking at it on my phone, and my phone kind of sucks at watching those things. So I usually skip out on that. But yeah,
That's another thing like I want to mention. Like while that Zelda HD thing looked really nice, I think the future of Zelda's visuals, like if you're gonna portray Link, like as a teenager or like a young adult, whatever, then you should like I think they should stick with the Skyward Sword art style. It really captured the like it really captured the emotion of the Zelda games. Where and like if you're going with like the young Link style, then I think everybody can agree that like Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, like that art style is pretty timeless.
yeah. Wind Waker. Yeah, Wind Waker was awesome art style.
Yeah, that's at the moment Wind Waker's actually my favorite Zelda game. I mean, Skyward Sword could dethrone that, but the one thing all Zelda games have to like meet for me is the test of time, and seeing as how Skyward Sword's only been out for like 2 months now, it hasn't exactly met that, whereas Wind Waker has like 10 years on it. So, yeah.
That's surprising. I mean, Wind Waker's actually aged pretty well too for being out that long.
Yeah, I played it like I got a copy over the summer, like a special copy, like a limited edition one, and I was replaying it, and like I was just like, this game looks better than like a lot of current gen games
Yeah.
that are just like that just have a color palette of like gunmetal gray and like dog shit brown. Like,
And red, lots of red.
oh yeah, red. Well, the red could just be brown. You might just be like trying to convince yourself it's not brown.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
makes
like
sense.
it might just be like rust, but.
So yeah, I don't know, guys. I think we just we want to see some changes in the industry, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much we can do, obviously, since we're just like two guys that were bored and decided to do this like on a whim, and like thought it would be like a cool thing to get out there. And I know sooner or later, if we post this to YouTube, somebody's gonna like leave a comment saying "fuck you guys, Final Fantasy 15 was the best game ever." It's like, yeah,
Yeah, and I'm gonna be like, no, you.
yeah. Then Kevin's gonna like let himself loose.
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna go through the TV and kill that person, but it's gonna be all right. I'm not gonna say
Yeah, he's
anything.
gonna
So.
pull. He's gonna pull Persona 4.
We'll see. I don't know. I think I might leave him alone. I think I should leave the. I like to call them the Final Fantasy newbies, or even the JRPG newbies, because like it's not even about just Final Fantasy in general. Like this is the point I'm trying to get across is like it's the JRPG as a whole. Like I mean, Final Fantasy was one of those staples, and when you start breaking that staple, you start ruining the whole genre. You know,
Yeah.
and
And it doesn't help that like RPGs like it's not like shooters or like action adventure games or puzzle games where like the fan base is kind of like passive. Like RPGs have a pretty rabid fan base. Like
yeah,
I mean,
they're pretty hardcore about what they think their opinions on the games. You
like
know.
people that love RPGs. Like
Yeah,
I mean
whereas
they're
like your common shooter guy is just gonna be like, yeah, I just like to play a game every now and then, man. You know, it's
yeah,
like,
and you never see like a puzzle game fan being on like puzzle games and like more puzzle. Look at all those puzzle games, like friggin' Jigsaw. Oh my god. Like, but I mean, like the YouTube gaming community, like it's like as one big whole gaming community, like the next biggest subdivision to it is like the RPG community, which is like pretty massive in itself. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like it's definitely a dedicated fan base, and I can respect that. I mean, I love RPGs. It's one of my favorite genres ever, which is why I don't like to see it like I don't like to see it like do things that I don't think is healthy for it, like wallow in the past, like wallow in old ideas, or like kind of just do bad ideas. So yeah, that's my 2 bits on that.
uh, yeah, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, so this was me and Kevin xGrunty's first podcast esque thing. Just something we decided to do while we were at work today.
We'll probably have some more of these, and hopefully we can get some of our other coworkers who are pretty badass people who are like also hardcore gamers like us. And
Yeah, some of them are dinosaurs.
oh yeah, dinosaurs. Yeah, yeah, they make crazy noises at work. I don't
Yeah.
know, but hopefully we can get them on this too, and we can start getting some people out there. And we hope you enjoyed it, guys. I don't know what else to say. Um, 13-2 is a bad game. Anyway.
So yeah, with that we're gonna end on a negative note.
Sorry, I had to. I just had to point it out. Oh, sorry, guys. It was just like I was reading this article, and like I have a video, but I don't know if it's gonna upload to YouTube, so we'll see. But yeah, maybe you'll see it, maybe you won't. But it was just this article talking about how it fixed everything, and I doubt it. I mean, it's probably gonna be just as crappy. So you can't fix a broken game, and you can't make a sequel to a good game. So it usually doesn't work out very well.
So yeah, that's me and Kevin on how to fix the Final Fantasy series and how to make the Zelda series even better, along with all the other tangents we went on.
All right,
So yeah.
guys. See you later.